Hey, and welcome back to the Everything Canada Soccer podcast with me, your host Jordy and Felipe.
Hey.
Today it's episode 3, so today we're just gonna go around the same thing. We're gonna first discuss what happened on the weekend, then we're gonna discuss kind of things in Europe and players that we want to talk about. Then lastly, we'll end off like we always do with predictions, which we always get right, don't we, Felipe?
Yep. Or 90%,
90% of the
9 out
time,
of
close
10.
enough. Okay, first off, we're going to talk about what happened on the weekend. So, as Felipe predicted most things right, I was a little bit kind of meh. There was a lot of draws and a lot of unpredicted results, but that's okay because that's why we like this league. We want to be surprised, and we really want to be entertained. So,
Cool.
we'll start off with the Forge 1-1 over Atletico Ottawa, which for I actually didn't get to watch the entire thing. I was able to kind of watch the live scores and kind of go back and watch the recordings later and watch the highlights sort of thing. But Forge dominated in terms of shots for
Oh, yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
Just
Like Atletico got a goal
yeah,
early, right? Like with Brice, I think it was like first 20 minutes of the game. So kind of
yeah,
like he, they just try to close and make sure that, they're gonna win 1-0 or maybe try to explore a counterattack. And then Forge ended up getting a goal later. So it was it was Forge the other way. I honestly like didn't watch the game like you, but I watched the highlights after and I look at the numbers. And
mm,
by what I've seen it, like the volume, like there was almost a 10 minutes highlight for the whole match. So
wow,
I,
yeah,
I
yeah,
I think that Forge deserved it that game. I mean, I didn't watch the game, so I cannot say 100%, but maybe some of the people that watch us that watch the game might give their opinion. But I think that Forge maybe deserved that win, and they just left to the tie. So
Well, yeah, and you look at like the lineup that they have to like put out there. They're missing. I believe they're missing both their center backs as well.
yeah,
Like they're having holding midfielders fill in at the moment in terms of that. So for them to actually like earn a point means a lot. Even though it's at home, which probably helps things, but it shows that even though this Forge team haven't been brilliant this season, that they still have that champion mentality to always keep going no matter what the circumstances are.
yeah, and I mean, like it's a league that things can change quite quick, right? Like I haven't seen besides Pacific, we haven't seen a team that kind of open like 10 points difference. You know what I mean? Like that
Yeah.
will make it difficult to catch up. So if you're able to win 2 games in a row at this stage, you will go from almost bottom, besides that moment, almost bottom of the table to second place, third place, depending
Mhm.
on the week, right?
Yeah.
So I think that Forest still has it. And you're right, like Campbell played the game. I was just looking here. But yeah, like I still feel like they are missing some players, like you said. Things might turn out better for them.
Yeah. No, as a Cavalry fan, I'm obviously happy with the draw, but at the same time, like they're eventually going to come back into it. Like it's Forge, as we all know, they're a quality team and have one of the best
It would
managers
be
in
interesting
Canada.
to see. It would be interesting them out of the kind of like the playoffs, right? Like if that's what we call playoffs, so semifinals and finals.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it would be
yeah. That
interesting
happens.
to see them out. It would be interesting to see a different team. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. Just I think it would be cool.
Yeah, I know Cavalry
Um,
and Forge have kind of hogged the at least 2 playoff spots every single year. So it for the league's sake, it would actually be healthy for
yeah,
more teams to get in there. That's why I think it was really good that Forge didn't three-peat. Not just because as a rival fan, but in terms of like, oh boy, this new league is coming and the same team has won it 3 years in a row.
it's
Like,
hogging. Yeah, yeah.
does
For
anyone
the
actually
public
really want to
itself.
watch that? Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like newcomers watching like the Bundesliga or the lower Ligue 1 in France. Like watching the same team win every year. Like at some point, it's like
whatever. Yeah,
okay, like even as a Bayern Munich fan, I'm like obviously I want to win every title, but like the league is I don't want to say suffering, but it would definitely help with to freshen things up if someone else were to
yeah,
win
yeah.
it or Dortmund would actually put in a team. You know what I mean? So no, I think Forge will come back, but making it playoffs, it's a little iffy right now. It really depends on how their fitness is for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, I wouldn't mind seeing them out of the playoffs. So,
No, just yeah.
uh, yeah, like I wouldn't mind see a team like Valor or something like that going it this
right?
time. You know,
Valor had a great start. Valor had a great start last season, but it kind of tailed off with the injury to their captain and whatnot. So that was
yeah.
kind of tough. But before we
There was
get
a
into
player
Valor,
before we get into Valor, I was just gonna say there was
mhm,
a player from Valor last year, called Rafael Gallardo. He was
mhm,
playing as a right back and played
yeah,
as a midfielder too. That man, like I remember, like when I was a teenager, he was on the youth academies for Flamengo, like my team in Brazil, and he was actually a big like promise. Like we had a lot of hope he was gonna become a good player. He actually played quite well in the Brazilian leagues for a few teams, and then he went to play for Anderlecht in Belgium. Uh, and then when I saw him in the CPL, I was surprised because he's the kind of player that still has a market in South America. You know what I mean?
mm,
I was kind of surprised how he landed in the CPL. It's like, how did this guy end up here? So I
actually
kind
I
of
did
had
think
high
that.
expectations, and then for some reason he only stayed one season. So, you know,
Do you
it
know
is
where he
what
is
it
now?
is. But no idea. I'll have to look it online.
Mm,
But yeah, I mean, Canada has a really short season, right? So like that
yeah,
doesn't help players that, especially players that have market in other places, to stay in a long term, right? I
yeah.
feel like we'll have to eventually add a couple more teams to the league and maybe be able to extend the league. I don't know, man. Like maybe do the league from where we usually start right now in the spring all the way to like November, December.
I think that would have been the plan this season. I would hope so, but with the World Cup in November,
Yeah,
wouldn't exactly
yeah,
make any monetary sense or just quality entertainment sense to have that. But
yeah.
I think the first ever final was put on. It was November like 19th or something like that, if I can
Okay.
remember correctly, in
Yeah,
2019. And last year, I think it was early December that the final was against Pacific and Forge. I think it was. But either way, like the season's short regardless because it's Canada. So you just
yeah.
unless we build these massive indoor facilities, then I don't think we're gonna get a final in like December or January again.
True, true.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So what's next,
or
Jory?
yeah, or we played on the island where Pacific FC beat Edmonton pretty comfortably, even though the scoreline doesn't suggest that it's a beatdown. It is with 61% possession. You keep the ball most of the time, and with 6 shots on
Yeah.
target to Edmonton's one, you could tell that the Edmonton was kind of hanging on by the threads like they kind of have been all season. It's really, really tough to see a way back from Edmonton this season. I honestly think their season's done. What do you think?
Well, I think this season was done a few weeks ago, but just not gonna say that to
Oh,
upset the
shit.
Edmonton fan.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's just like I don't know. I don't see them being a cohesive team playing as a team and being able to perform well. Of course, they had some bad lucks, like some games maybe they deserve it to tie. But I haven't watched a single game. Like this game, I watched in the second half. I haven't watched a single game that you're watching. It's like, oh yeah, they deserve to win. Oh, they're out of luck, right? It's usually
Mhm.
like that's bad football.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, no, I agree. And then Alejandro Diaz score again, so he's start leading that run right there for striker for the Golden Boot.
Yeah,
But
seriously.
he's been pretty consistent at least this past like 3 weeks.
Yeah, no, Alejandro Diaz. I mean, Marco Bustos has been a little quiet. Obviously, he's more of like a playmaker behind the scenes at the moment. He's not in and amongst the goals and assists every single game, which is okay. You
Yep.
don't have to be as a player like him, but it just shows the depth. Again, kind of like how I mentioned in my 3 things we learned this weekend on Monday, kind of shows that Pacific FC have the depth in their squad in
Yep.
order to just show up to a place or show up at home or wherever and just rely on 1 to 2 players and then the next game rely on a different set of players. Like they
Yep.
can comfortably beat teams while still rotating and playing the exact same system that they have been.
Yep. Like Manny Aparicio, I think you mentioned that on your video earlier
Hmm.
on too. Like I think he does have 2 or 3 goals this season already.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, no, it's definitely a powerful, like for this league standard, a powerful a squad. Like they have
Hmm.
options, and then that gives the depth. And like you said it, that shows on the numbers, right? Like if you look at how far they're ahead on the league, I think right now, let's see, table. Man, 16 points. They're 8 points ahead of the second place, right? So like,
Yeah,
they can lose. They can almost lose. Like they can lose 2 games in a row, for example. They're still gonna be first, right? So like
yeah, exactly.
they got a head started for sure. And I feel like they're gonna maintain it at least until playoffs. So
Yeah, you think they'll be that far ahead until playoffs?
yep, yep. They're not far that far ahead, but they're gonna maintain the distance. I don't think they're gonna go second or third. But
Yeah,
again, this is a tricky league, right? It doesn't matter if you qualify in first. When it comes to first leg and second leg on the semifinals, like it's a completely different game. You know what I mean? Like it's a
yeah,
completely different
no,
game.
yeah. I think
I'll
yeah.
be completely honest with you. I am not pro that as a league. I think a league should be won by points, not
Hmm.
by semifinals and finals. But at the
Yeah.
stage we are with this amount of teams, I think that's the best way to make it competitive for everyone and give the
Hmm.
chance to everyone. But if we have 10 teams already, like for example, it would be possible to, do the teams play like each other maybe 3 times or something like that, and
Yeah,
then
because
they
each right now, as it stands, each team plays each other 3 times, and I think, ooh, pardon me, I think as soon as we get to 10 to 12 teams, which I think 12 teams is the goal before 2026. I believe that's what the old commissioner said that was the goal, and I don't see why that would change. So places like Saskatchewan,
they need to
Vancouver,
ramp
also
up though.
Quebec.
They need to ramp up that because it has been a couple of years without adding a team. Uh, they are adding a team in Vancouver, which is great,
Yeah.
and that needs to be ramped up still. With a team in Vancouver, we're gonna have 9 teams, right? So having 12, we need 3 more.
Hmm.
So that needs to be. I don't know. I would love to see another one in the Pacific, like sorry, the Atlantic coast.
Yeah.
Maybe like I don't know, new. The island games are cool. Like when they had the games in
Yeah.
what was it? The province
Nova
was it?
Scotia.
Was it Nova Scotia?
Sorry,
Okay,
Prince Edward Island. My bad.
Prince Edward Island. Yeah, or they could
Yeah.
have like say like in Newfoundland, somewhere like that would be quite cool. Saskatchewan is definitely an interesting market.
Yeah.
That'll be a cool rivalry with Manitoba, uh,
Yeah, that would be.
for sure. And because especially like for example, look at the CFL, they have the Bombers and the Rough Riders are a big game in the CFL.
Mhm.
Fans get pretty rowdy, so I feel like that would be cool to have that rivalry there.
Yeah, I
And
think so too.
what other province I think we're missing? Like Quebec, of
Quebec.
course, right? Like
Yeah, Quebec could probably have 2 or 3 teams right now. I think they definitely could support that because they do have their own semi-professional league. So it's not that
yeah.
far-fetched to say that they could have an MLS team and then two, say, CPL teams in the province, maybe one in Montreal or like the greater area of Montreal and Laval. I know Laval's been talked about tons, especially on like CPL forums and Facebook and Reddit and
Love
everything. So much talk about
Laval
that.
is it's just like I mean Montreal is an island, right? Laval is just like north of the island, like it's pretty
Hmm.
like north or west, whatever. Like it's pretty close to it. It's almost Montreal, so it'll be same market we're talking about. Quebec
True.
would be a good place.
Quebec City,
I
yeah.
feel like I think it would be interesting because there is no like they don't have a team there. You know what I mean? At all. Like
Hmm.
there is no football, there is no hockey, there is no baseball. Like there is no like maybe they have their Canadian like leagues, but I'm talking about a
Yeah,
pro
yeah,
team.
no.
Uh,
The CPL
And
team.
it's French culture. I mean, like there is tons of immigrants from Latin America, from Africa that loves football that they
Hmm.
live in
Yeah,
Quebec. So I feel like it
I
would be a
definitely
good
think the
market for
market
it.
is there for like a few teams, like a
Yeah.
Quebec City, and I think you could probably have like a team in MLS or not a team like like Montreal in Montreal, and then have a team just beside that. There's probably enough market out there for that. I mean, look how passionate they are about the Canadiens, and obviously that's a completely different sport and culture. But like you saw what they did during the playoffs in 2000 and well last year in 2021. Very passionate people when they get behind a team. So imagine just a fraction of that support for a team. You could easily divide a city like they do in Europe. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
Quebec
yeah.
is essentially Europe too. You know what I mean, or France too, I guess.
Yeah.
So
It would
it's
be good
definitely
if there was a Quebec against Montreal FC. Like that would be pretty
that would be
cool. You
really
know what I
cool. I
mean?
think the league it'd be
Uh,
another kind of like Battle of Alberta sort of thing, but the French
yeah,
version.
yeah, yeah. And they would only maybe clash against each other on Canadian Championships. So those matches would be like
Oh,
people would look for it. You know?
that'd be really good.
Um, yeah, yeah. But cool, man. So what's next, Jury?
Wanderers and Cavalry. Very, very exciting game at times. I watched the entire thing, but it was the conditions were very, very windy, very wet, as it will be in Halifax.
Yeah,
Makes sense. Anyone that goes there, especially out there, that's up there in it's the best fans. So it was all four goals were from set pieces. That basically describes the entire game.
yeah. Like, I've honestly, like, I'll be completely honest with you. I know we're going to catch a Calvary game next week, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm cheering for them. I want to see them winning the league.
Mm.
I left because I thought they lost, and I didn't catch Klopp's goal
Oh no!
in the OT. I
Dang.
catch it on my phone because I mean, I was off. I was off for I think I was going for a hike with my wife or something like that because it was Sunday
Yeah.
the game,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was like, you know what, like let's just go. They lost. You know, it was 2-1. It was like 80 minutes of a game, so I
Yeah.
left home, and then I'm on the car, and then when I check Instagram, once I park the car, I kind of see that it's tie, like Calvary posted on the Instagram 2-2, and I'm
Oh
like, no way,
man,
who scored?
that's
Uh,
awesome. That's funny.
and then I watched the goal after, and it was one of those, like that
Mm-hmm.
last moment of the game, hustling in the box, ball go in, you can't even see what the ball is, and then someone
Yeah.
comes in at it, and
Well, actually,
uh,
yeah. What was really cool about that is that the player that won the foul that led to that free kick was Arabam Peppel. Hopefully, I didn't butcher that, but he used to play at Foothills, the club that I coach at.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
he played through there, and he actually had a trial in I think it was for Leicester City or a club in England, just a little 2 week
Okay,
trial. And I
yeah, yeah,
totally forgot. I totally didn't even know where he went, but he's come back and he won that foul, which actually led to them equalizing goal, which could be a massive point in the season because every point matters, especially when it comes to playoffs and like cutoffs, especially with how close. There's what 5 teams on 8 points at the moment, so
yeah.
every point counts at the moment. So
Matters.
that's crucial, especially away from home.
Absolutely. Absolutely, and it was good to see Bevan scoring a goal. I mean, like we know
Hmm.
Mason has been doing well this season, but it's what I was telling you last week about York adding international talent. I like the idea, and he's one of them. I know he came from the Whitecaps academy, but
Yeah,
or he played for the Whitecaps before, but he does have that. He's a international like for New Zealand, and he played
yeah.
a Yolf international teams for New Zealand. So I think it's kind of good to give a chance to those talents, and it's good to see him scoring.
Hmm.
Uh, but for like the game overall, like, did you think that was fair, the result, like after watching the whole game?
Yeah, I'd say so. Both teams dominated in different areas, and both teams had momentum at different times as well. So, and
Mhm.
none of them were able to actually impose like their own like style of play onto the game just because of the conditions. Tommy kind of highlighted that fact in the interview after the game. So I think a 2-2 draw is probably pretty fair considering all the conditions and everything. It's one of those
Cool.
games where you come in, the conditions are crap, and you're like, okay, let's just play this game, get whatever we can, and go, sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Especially for
and
Cavalry.
the ball wasn't rolling that much,
No.
uh, so it becomes rough to play. And I feel like that's why sometimes like the goals happen in a way they happen, clumps go in the end.
Mm-hmm.
It's because the field becomes heavy. That's what we
Yeah.
say, without
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
the conditions. But fun fact about Klomp, he actually was, he played in Netherlands for Vitesse, and when they
Mm-hmm.
are, I think, when the second division coming up, and then they play first division, he was he paired defender with a player called Pablo Mari, that he
Yeah.
was the defender for Arsenal last year on the Premier
Yeah. Oh,
League,
really?
and
Huh.
then he was on loan to Udinese in Italy right now, and Udinese is gonna buy him out. He like, here's what happened. Like, he was Netherlands, and then he went to play second division Spain, and then a team
Yeah.
in Brazil got him, my team, and then he became a star in Brazil in a year, and then
Huh.
Arsenal bought him right away because he was still a young Spanish
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
player. So yeah, it was funny because like I remember looking at his uh, picture, and then I remember him playing for Vitesse, so I googled the time, and then he played the same time as him. So when I look at online, they played together a few times. So he
Huh.
actually, pair defender with a guy that's play Premier League last season and play Serie A in Italy this season. So that's a
That's okay. Yeah.
good friend to have, a good experience to have.
Yeah. No, that's like a.
Yeah,
I love finding those little connections everywhere just to see where
yeah.
everyone played. But yeah, 2-2 draw. It is what it
Boring,
is.
boring. No, but boring. Like, I mean, as a fan, we want to
Yeah.
win, right? But
Yeah. No,
it's
it's a 2-2 draw. There's exciting times, especially with like set pieces, because whenever there's a set piece, you get excited because something might happen because the ball is most likely going to get launched towards net. But
yep.
that's okay. But if you wanted your heart to race, you might as well have watched York and Valor because that was probably the game to watch in terms of like having your expectations just completely averted. So just to set the scene, York United are pressing in the game. They're going, they're going, they're going. They're trying to get a goal, keep pressuring, and all of a sudden, from a corner kick, a handball is given. The angle that was shown, I couldn't quite tell how much of a handball that was, but it was given nonetheless. A lot of talk about CPL refs and the quality thereof, but that's like just a topic for another day. So the penalty's given, and your boy De Rosario steps up to take it like he has the rest of them, and
It's
lo and
okay.
behold, our player of
I
the
like
week saves it.
I like seeing Siroa doing well. Like he
Hmm.
had a great season last year. He was my favorite goalie last season, not because he won the Golden Glove, but because I watched like him play and I enjoyed. I feel like
Yeah.
he has. Here's the thing, right? Like a modern goalie nowadays needs to be good, not just positioning, not just like of course like knowing how to, if there's a corner kick, like you know how to position yourself well and go catch the ball when you should and stay in the goal when you should,
Yeah.
but know how to play with your foot. You know what I mean? Not be afraid of playing with your foot and then distributing passes and being kind of like almost a support on the back line when they're
Hmm.
helping play. And he does that a lot. No wonder why Valor sometimes have majority of possession, even on games that he lost it. Like this game, you're saying that, yeah, York had more volume, but go look at a ball possession. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Valor, I'm not, I don't even know. Like if I
No, Valor had about 60%
59, yeah,
possession.
59% ball possession against 41. I don't
Yeah.
even need to look, and I know because they start on the back line, they start exchanging side to side passes. It's a boring game sometimes, it's just the way it is. But
Yeah.
having a goalie that knows how to, he starts that and runs that passing game together with the back line, it is a modern goalie. It's what you see
Mhm.
Neuer doing on Bayer often. Not comparing him to Neuer, don't get
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
wrong,
No.
okay? Like, I'm
No.
not trying
Same
to get there,
principle.
but just comparing the style of the a modern goalie how it should be. And I like Jonathan Sirra a lot because of that, because I feel like he fits that criteria for a modern goalie, and his experience being on Lyon, I think it's making him grow. So I'm hoping he's the kind of goalie I'm hoping to see in the national team maybe in a few years. You know what I mean? Like keeps
Yeah.
evolving,
Honest.
evolving,
Yeah.
evolving, and get there. So
Yeah. Because he's on loan. He's on loan from Montreal at the moment. So
yeah,
who knows? He made a good impression in CPL. I think he's. I think there's a lot of good goalkeepers in this league, and I think him along with Carducci and who's the other one? I know that Callum Irving probably could make a jump
Callan Irving.
upwards.
Yeah,
I think all
yeah,
three of them could definitely move up. I know Carducci back in 2019 was called up to the Canadian squad as well. Didn't play, but he
yeah.
still got a call up. So there's definitely potential. But Jonathan Sierra kickstarted a Valor resurgence, so to speak, and Sean Rea was able to dribble through about 4 or 5 players. Just somehow, there's a quote from him saying that he just saw 5 players around him, didn't know what to do, and his body just kind of like took over. Take a touch there, turn around here, take a touch out of his feet and just smashed it
Yeah.
into the
That was
top
a
left corner.
beautiful. That was a
What a way
beautiful
to
goal.
win a game. That's how
Yep.
you dream of winning a game when you're a little kid. You know?
Yeah, yeah. It's like, no, no, and like you said, like when you watch the move, like I watched the highlight over and over again just to kind of understand
Yeah.
the footwork. Because
Hmm.
if you look at the first time, you don't really understand how he went from point A to point B to be able to
Yeah.
kick the ball, right? So you keep watching over and over and over, and you're like, damn, like the skill set that you need to do, the footwork you need to be able to execute there. It is not for every player. So good for Shea.
No.
Let's Ray. Sorry. Let's hope. How do you say his last name? Ray or Ray?
I say Rhea just because
Right?
it's EA. That's how I don't know if it's he can correct me if he wants, but that's how
Yeah.
I say it.
So he made me he reminded me of watching Brazilian leagues. Like I watch Brazilian league every week, but I'm just saying like you see
Mm,
goals like that
yeah,
sometimes. It's something that you see a lot in South American skill set. They do that. They roll on top of the ball like you saw that, and
yeah,
then they kind of like likes to protect. And out of nowhere you see a kick. Like I love seeing that kind of football. So it's
yeah,
interesting. Yeah. And the Rosario missing the kick's part of the game, man. Like I said,
yeah.
Syria, it's you only miss penalties if you take them all, right? Like at the end of the day, if you
You're
take
gonna
10 and you
eventually
make
make that.
nine, you're still a good penalty taker. It's just still way it is.
Hmm.
Uh, what's next? Like for do we talk that all the games with Coverall?
I think that's all the games. What did you? I think we got all our predictions pretty close to being right, right?
Last, yeah, I think that the Valor game, I might have called a tie.
I
I don't
forget.
remember, but I think I called a tie on Calvary, and I called a tie on the Atletico and Forge, and I called Pacific winning. So those three I
Mm.
got it right. I remember. The Valor and New York, I'll have to rewatch it and see what was my prediction. Uh, I might have picked Valor, but I don't know. I can't say. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah,
What about you?
I think obviously I said Cavalry win, and that didn't happen. I can't remember if I might have said Valor, or no, I might have no. I think I said York United were gonna win that game, which they were actually headed to. That's why I was like when De Rosario stepped up, I'm like, okay, like I might get that prediction actually right, but that obviously didn't end up happening. Forge Atletico, I can't remember. I just forget these things. I like make a prediction and then it just right past me. So
Yep,
I'm not actually
yep,
sure, but yeah. So next we're gonna talk a little bit about Nottingham Forest because of Richie Larea as they are headed to the playoff final
yeah,
to get
yeah.
promoted up to the Premier League, and that could potentially mean that Richie Larea, a Canadian player, would be in fact playing in the Premier League with Nottingham Forest for the first time in how many decades since?
I think they last time they played the Premier League was in the 90s or 80s, late 80s, early
Yeah, something
90s.
along those lines. Like it's been a while, but that'd be really cool to see Richie Larea play in there. What do you think that means for Canadians in the future to see, a
I
player
think
like Larea move up
I
into the
think
Premier League?
it would be pretty cool. Of course, like we already discussed in a previous video that it takes a little time for a player to adapt, especially when he joins in the middle of the season. He's not
Mhm.
getting a lot of games, but that doesn't mean that next season he won't. He'll have the whole off season with the team. We know that he can be in good shape if he wants to. He's a physical player.
Mhm.
So I mean, he hustles a lot. That's what I'm trying to say. So I'm pretty sure that he will fight for a spot.
Yeah.
And going to the Premier League, it's a huge step. Like, of course, I don't know if you know, but the Premier League give an X amount of money in TV contracts for teams that are coming from the second division. They have a good split to help
Yeah.
teams maintain themselves in the first division and not keep getting relegated every year. So they might take some of the money and invest in certain players, right? So that's what my like. Of course, they're gonna do that because like every team that moves from the championship up, they do that.
Mhm.
I'm just hoping that they don't get right backs or right wings, you know what I mean, or right
Yeah.
midfielders, right?
Do you think
But
do you think let's say for example they win the championship or the playoff
they're not gonna
final?
win the championship because
Yeah,
the
yeah, I meant
few
the
of them
final.
won. But yeah,
Yeah, I meant the final. Does Richie Larea start the first Premier League game of the season?
I don't think so. But I can see him getting a starting lineup.
Mhm.
I just don't know. Like the player that's playing right now on the right back, it is a Nottingham Forest player. It's not on loan, right?
Mhm.
So uh, he would have to leave in order for him or have an injury or underperform in the preseason, right? Because
Yeah.
he currently has the spot. Now, if and I forgot his name right now, but I believe he's a British kid or
Yeah, yeah,
Jamaican background, like something like that.
yeah.
Uh, but if like you never know, man, nothing's right in football, right? Like I said,
Yeah.
maybe Rich Larea come back and he's a beast in the off season. The coach is like, yeah, let me give it a chance to this dude, right? And
Yeah.
things happen. But I think it's a great step for Nottingham Forest. It's great to see one of the largest English teams going back to the Premier League. I mean, the team has two Champions League, man. Like Arsenal has none, Tottenham has none. and
Yeah.
they've been on a financial crisis for such a long time. So seeing them going up, it's nice. It's good for football. It's good for their fans. They have a huge fan base, right? It's a city just away, like in between London and Manchester, and is the main club in the city, and it is a big, like a decent city size in England.
Hmm.
So they have a fanatic fan base, and it will be good for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Everyone
Another
knows
thing is
about it. Yeah.
Theo from Wolverhampton. If he doesn't get on loan again, he might play the Premier League next year. We don't know,
Yeah.
but
Theo Corbiano or Corbanu or however his name is pronounced. He's has a Romanian background, so could be something completely different. But he could potentially play. He made his debut back in a year ago. Was it May or June or however the season was divided or whatever. In the last game
yeah,
of the season against Manchester United, he made his debut. Or no, it was the week before that. I think he made his debut. Either way, he played a little bit for Wolves, so who knows? He may come back and play a little bit in the
yeah.
Premier League, or he may get because he's at MK Dons right now, so he might move into a championship level club.
Championship club.
I think
Absolutely,
that
I agree
probably
with
would
you.
be the next move for him.
Yeah, and I mean, like, who knows? We're talking about it, but maybe by
Hmm.
the beginning of the next European season, Davies is there. Jonathan David is there. Who knows? Maybe we'll have those stars
Yeah,
playing in the Premier League.
I think Jonathan David could make a move to the Premier League. I think
Oh yeah, yeah,
he, he did get 2 goals. I think it was this weekend or last weekend. It was this past weekend. He scored a brace, which is finally like a monkey off his back
yeah.
because he
Like
hadn't scored in forever.
he has the body type that would work, or the physicality and the athleticism that would work quite well in the Premier League.
Yeah.
He's not. I don't know how tall he is, but I don't think he's that tall. But he's still quite strong. He would work really well there. He just needs to find a team that he would fit in. I think he would fit in on teams like Aston Villa. Right now they have Coutinho. You know what I mean? Like they
Mhm.
have the investment
I think his
midfielder.
best would be West Ham, just because I think
West
he's
Ham.
a little
Yeah,
similar to Antonio in terms of he likes
yeah,
using his body like Antonio does, in terms of holding up the play and
yeah.
playing it to Jared Bowen
I
or
agree.
Jack.
Yeah, the problem with West Ham is paying money. Like they tried to get the striker from Flamengo last season, but we wanted like at least 35 million euros, and then they could only offer 15.
Mm,
So I don't know. Like he could also fit well right now on Newcastle. It's a team that
yeah.
needs, like, has money, needs to revamp, needs to start building a DNA.
Yeah,
Uh, so he could be the star of the team depending how he goes there, depending how well he performs, right?
I
So
think
yeah,
yeah,
like
that'd be cool.
yeah, I definitely see a potential of having more Canadian. But going back to Richie, like I feel like we all cheer for him, right? Like we
Yeah.
hope the best. So seeing Nottingham Forest being able to play the last playoff game there to go for the Premier League, I'm gonna be cheering for them. I don't know if I'll
Mhm.
watch it because sometimes those games are 7 a.m., 8 a.m., but
I
I would
think
definitely
yeah,
cheer for them.
I think it's Sunday 9:30 our Mountain Time for us in the
Okay, so
morning.
that's not bad. That's not
So
bad.
I'll be able to watch it. So I'm definitely gonna tune into that.
They're playing Huddersfield.
It'll be tough.
Cool.
Huddersfield are a pretty good team.
Yeah, actually, man, like Nottingham Forest is in the bottom of the, like, mid bottom of the league 20 rounds ago, 25 rounds ago, and they got this coach called Steve Cooper that
Hmm.
he he changed it a lot of their style, put it a few players away, get a new
Yeah.
few players on loan. And he changed it a lot. He's a really good coach. So
So he was the one that brought in Richie.
yes, and he's the one that benched him too. So I don't know, like, why did I brought him, but
Maybe
but
it's
he's
like
a
a
good coach. Like,
yeah, maybe it's
uh,
a either like a next season sort of move or just in case
yeah,
Ryan gets injured with him.
that's what we hope, right? That's the best option, because the worst option would be you know, the player doesn't get along with other players. You know what I mean? Don't build the relationships, and then he
Yeah.
kind of gets sidelined because he's not involved within the project. So,
But
because you see that a
at the
lot in
yeah.
football, right? Like, um, but yeah, man. Like, I think next we're planning to talk about the Europa League finals. Uh, I I'm wearing Frankfurt's shirt, the only shirt I have from them. I had a chance to go to Frankfurt actually in December, so I passed near the stadium. They had a huge Eintracht Frankfurt store, so
Yeah.
I went there to make myself a shirt. But I'm not a fan of them or nothing like that. But I was just watching the last 20 minutes of the game, watched
Yeah.
the penalties, and who was playing? Scott Arfield. So,
Scott Arfield.
um, how many caps does he have? Or how long has he been playing for Canada national
I
team?
think he has
Yuri?
about. I think he has 19 caps, 2 goals. I
Okay.
think.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty. It's pretty close. I mean, he
Eh,
scored his penalty before Aaron
he did.
Ramsey. Before Aaron Ramsey missed his.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Poor guy.
it's it's tough
Yeah.
from like a Canadian point of view for like that to be like, oh, like our own Canadian players scored, but yet some not some random guy, but some guys ruined Canadians' dreams of having another Canadian get get some like a gold medal around his a trophy to lift up, which is like kind of been the theme like a year ago. Jonathan David lifted the French league trophy, and Fonzie's been lifting trophies. So
Eustáquio,
is
this past
Eustachio as
week.
well. So it would have been cool to kind of keep that theme up on the women's side as well. They're lifting trophies, so I just it sucks from like a Canadian point of view. It's like, of course they missed the penalty. You know,
Yep.
he did all he needed to do, but his team wasn't able to, and that's the team sport. You know, it's tough.
It is what it is, and I mean, like penalties are lottery. Like
Yeah,
it's like
flip a
it.
coin.
Like of course, like it is quality of the kicker. The goalie might be in a good day, but it is what it is. Like some days, like you're just gonna lose it.
Yeah,
Um, gotta learn how to lose, especially when it goes to penalties. But
yeah,
yeah, like good for Scott. I mean, he still made it to the final. Second time he goes to the final, Rangers. They went to the final against Zenit from Russia a few years ago. They lost. Then
that's
they
right.
lost
Yeah.
right now to Frankfurt. He's retired from the Canadian national team, so I don't think we'll ever see him with a cap again. But
I think he
definitely
officially retired too. If I
this year,
remember
yeah,
correctly.
yeah, he
I
announced
thought he
it
officially
this.
retired. I could be wrong, but
And I mean, like his position is tough to fill right now at the national team, right? Like we
yeah.
have midfielder there, Osorio, Mark Anthony, like
Eustachio,
Eustachio,
Piet,
like quite a few Piets, like quite a few players that are
and
younger than him and
Kone's now
also in good
playing there
form.
as well. So,
Exactly. So,
and he's 33 years old. John Herdman's probably going to take the younger players so he can
yeah,
establish his own vision still. So
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
it's tough.
Uh, well, but good luck to him. Hope they win the Scottish Premier League,
Yeah,
a Premiership, whatever it's called.
I think that's already done. No, I think the Scottish Premier League is done.
And they probably won.
I thought Celtic took it back.
Oh,
I'm going to
okay.
quickly
Well,
search it up because I
anyways,
didn't know.
if like we were discussing before, if you pick Celtic, if you pick Rangers, you're 50-50 because the
Yeah,
last team that
yeah,
won the Scottish Premiership, it was in 85. So it's
yeah,
been a long time that another team besides these two have not won. So
yeah. No, Celtic won it. Or they have two phases. They have a first phase and then a second phase where
yeah,
they'll break it up into two. I think Belgium does something similar. So Ugbo would probably have gone into this sort of the same boat, but Celtic did end up winning the Premiership by 4 points. So sorry, Scott Arfield, you got unlucky twice.
you lost again. Yeah, sorry. It's okay.
Unlucky.
Unlucky for you,
um,
but
yeah. So we'll just go over some more silverware as it's that point of the season now in Europe. The the Juventus women, which Julia Grosso, who won us the gold medal in the summer, was a part of. They've won the female Serie A as well as the Supercoppa Italiana. So that's even more silverware for us, which is great for the women's side to keep winning the silverware. Which the women's side, in terms of actually winning things, has kind of carried the name of Canada for like the past 20 years because obviously the men's team was in a very dark place before John Herdman took over. And
yeah,
now the women have finally won a gold medal and all these other players are moving to Europe, getting great moves. And just overall, like the entire Canadian soccer program has benefited from essentially this women's team who have kind of been the flag bearers in terms of this sport in this country, as well as the French champions, PSG, of course. That has Ashley Lawrence and Jordi Haitema. I think that's the only two on there. No, as well as Stephanie Labe. I think she's still there. I can't remember off the top of my head, but that she's the goalkeeper who actually played for Foothills.
Retired, right? Isn't that she retiring?
She could have been retired.
I
I
think
just
she's
remember.
retiring the end of the season. Like
Let me just double check Stephanie Labe because I'm pretty
now,
because
do
yeah,
we
she's
have any
retired now.
Canadian players on Barcelona or Lyon? Do you know?
No, the Barcelona team I'm pretty sure is strictly Spanish or mostly Spanish at the moment. We don't have any Canadians on there.
What about Lyon?
We do. I think we have a player in Lyon. Yeah,
Because their women's Champions League final is this Saturday. So we
right.
might,
That's a
if
good
we have a
reminder.
Canadian Lyon, we might see a Champions League winner.
That'd be who's it? It's Lyon against who?
Lyon against Barcelona Saturday.
That's it. Gonna be a good. Yeah, because they have Ida Hegerberg, who's Swedish, or no, yeah, Swedish, who's was at one point the best player in the world. And as I can see, I don't think I can actually find a Canadian. Kadisha Buchanan, that's who it was, who's been in the starting 11 for Canada for as
Is
long as
she
I've been
Tajans
watching.
Buchanan's family, a sister?
I don't think they're actually related, her and Tajon, but they
No,
might be. I actually don't know. Oh no, we lost Felipe, guys. We lost Felipe. Where'd he go? It's just me now. You're stuck with me. Um, yeah, no, Kadisha Buchanan. Until Felipe gets back, I guess I'll talk about the women's a bit more. Ever since I've watched, Kadisha Buchanan's been part of the team. I'm pretty sure she was part of the team back in the 2015 Women's World Cup that I actually had the privilege to go and watch. So I was very excited about that. The next person I wanted to talk about, sorry, Felipe, you're going to miss this whole thing, is Jessie Fleming on the Chelsea women's team, which, as it stands, have won. Yeah, she's the only Canadian on there. As of the moment, they've won the league as well as I believe, the women's FA Cup. Let me just double check. Yes, the women's FA Cup, which is fantastic because more silverware, more exposure for, especially for little girls here in Canada. Like I have a little sister that plays soccer, and she gets to grow up watching all these wonderful women play. And there's Felipe. Perfect.
Sorry, guys. Phone died.
No, no.
It was plugged. I thought it was charging. Like, it wasn't. So,
Yeah.
my bad, everyone. Did you kept talking so I don't need to edit
Yeah,
it?
no, I
No?
kept talking. I kept
Sweet.
talking. Don't worry. I
Sweet.
just went over
Sweet.
Jessie Fleming and the Chelsea women's team to they
Cool.
won the women's league, the Super League, and they won the FA Cup as well, and became runners up in the League Cup. So they almost managed a domestic treble. Didn't make it out of the group stage in the Champions League. So that's, I guess, somewhere. That's what I noticed a lot of some English teams is they don't get as far as your Lyon or PSG or Barcelona, especially Barcelona. Like their quality side. They won all 30 games. The Barcelona women's team.
Yep.
I think they had a perfect season.
Really?
So
Like
yeah,
undefeated. Yeah, damn.
undefeated. No, not even any ties or anything. Like completely invincible.
Hmm.
So if you're an Arsenal fan, that's what an invincible season looks like. Perfect. So
I mean, like an Arsenal fan knows if they're my age, they will know. Like I'm 29,
yeah,
they will know because my first year kind of following European soccer was a couple years before that season,
yeah,
2004, which is when Arsene Wenger won the was Chian He and the
yeah.
undefeated, but I can probably name the starting 11. Like that's how good the
Oh
team
yeah,
was. You know what I mean? Like Lindenberg from Sweden, like Robert Payet from France, like what's his name? Patrick Vieira from France, like Tian
yeah,
He and he was phenomenal players on the team. Ashley Cole, which played for
yeah.
Chelsea
That's right.
after and
Actually,
stuff.
going out.
Phenomenal players. The team was great, and I don't think I would ever, because like Premier League is extremely competitive nowadays. Like I
Hmm.
think it would be
Yeah,
really tough to see a team winning undefeated. If we're
yeah,
not seeing Manchester City and Liverpool doing this past couple of years, I don't think we're ever gonna see it. At least not in the next decade.
yeah. That's why. Like, I hope. Like, I know, I think Liverpool at one point were actually interested in Jonathan David, which would be an interesting signing. But I mean, it's Jurgen Klopp can pretty much work with any player. I mean,
He
so
can.
like,
I'm just trying to
it's
think.
not
Like I mean,
impossible.
like he can work with any player, right? Like don't get me wrong, but I dislike Firmino, for example. Like why?
Mm,
Because like he's Brazilian. Every time he goes play for Brazil, he plays the work. Like he can score goals. Like he just doesn't do
Yeah.
what he does at Liverpool. He can only play at
He's very
Liverpool.
much a system player. Like
Yeah,
he works in
exactly.
a very specific system and it works well. But if you put him alone in a completely different system, it's not as good. It's kind of like Jorginho at times can kind of. That's why he divides opinion so much. Luckily, I think every Canadian player. I don't think any one of them falls into that category. So I think
No,
we're all right in that sort of
but
sense. We
Salah,
don't have
like
that one
Salah is a
player.
good example too. Like he went to Chelsea, went to Rome. You know, like went
Yeah,
to Liverpool. He changed his like he went to become a top three best player in the world. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's like he went from being a speedy winger
yeah,
that wasn't able to stay long term in Chelsea. Rome did play, but he wasn't able to stay long term as well, and then became a star and an idol for one of the largest clubs in football
yeah,
as top three best players in the world. And I think that has to do a lot of the coach. Like that guy knows how to groom talent.
yeah,
And I just don't know. Like they have Diego Jota, Mane, Salah, Firmino, plus youngsters that they have in the bench to fight for the positions in front there. It's too
yeah.
many.
Uh-huh.
If they lose Mane to Real Madrid, like some people are saying, or if they lose like Firmino, or they lose like Saleh and Mane, he might change the way he plays offensively, and then
Yeah,
sure we can see a fit for Jonathan David. Just right
yeah,
now, there
for
are a
sure.
lot of players fighting for three positions, two positions in the front, right? So,
Mhm.
uh, but I like Liverpool as a club. I think it's a good system for him to go to.
Oh, I would easily want any Canadian player to go. Like if Alfonso Davies were, and I'm a little bit. I've supported Manchester United from a little kid because my coach told me to watch them, and so they were kind of the first team I watched before I learned about my German heritage and whatnot.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I watched them growing up. So I'm a little impartial to them, but at the same time I understand that Liverpool is miles ahead and whatnot. So if let's say Jonathan David or Fonzie were to come over,
they're
I
miles ahead now,
yeah,
but
yeah, come
historically
now.
speaking, no. Like I mean,
Yeah.
things can turn tables can turn around quite easy, right? A
Mhm.
lot of people's like, Man U is done. And it's like, yeah, give it 5 years.
Yeah.
If they get the right coach in place, the right system, they're gonna be a giant in three
Yeah.
seasons. You know what I
But
mean?
on the flip side, I
Yeah.
think that Tajon Buchanan, especially with Eric Ten Hag coming in, being a very technical and tactical coach,
Oh
I
yeah.
think Tajon would
Oh yeah.
benefit more
Oh
at
yeah.
United than you would at Liverpool because Liverpool is that heavy metal football, just freaking run at everyone, and which what Fonzie would be fantastic at. But
Yeah.
they have Robertson, so they don't exactly need Fonzie, and Fonzie's got a
Whoa,
contract.
come on. Like Fonse is in a different level, man. Like Robertson is just he's good, but he's not like he's not a cracky, like he's not a
Yeah,
crack, what we call.
yeah,
So it's he's a good left back, stable left back, but he's
yeah,
replaceable. Who's not replaceable is their right back, Arnold. Like he's different, that kid is
yeah.
different. But we talk about left back, yeah. But Man U is already they announced like I don't think when Bissaka it's gonna they're gonna be looking for a left back and a right back. I'll tell you that because I
Oh,
don't think I
center
don't
back.
think yeah. Actually, Maguire apparently is gonna stay surprisingly. Uh,
Even more
well,
memes.
it's okay. Like he's again, like I just think he was never that good anyways. He
No,
just
never.
I think he's a good defender to have on your bench.
Yeah, bring on
But
occasionally.
yeah, because
No
when you're
pressure.
playing 60 games a year, like a Premier League team that goes all the way to the finals in every competition, like Manchester City, who play 60 plus game a year, you do
Yeah.
need to have a 23, 25, 26 player that
Yeah,
squad.
exactly.
So
City
having
has two
Maguire, it's
squads that are
okay.
first team. Yeah.
Absolutely. So it's okay to have him. But City has a phenomenal defense. Like that's what's like they have a player called Ruben Diaz, like the Portuguese guy. It was a really
Yeah,
good
yeah,
player.
yeah, yeah. Ruben Dias.
Uh yeah, no, like and they always had even before, right? Like with
Mhm.
Company was their defender, Belgian guy, like great defender. So now they build their teams focusing on defense. Guardiola likes doing that,
Yeah.
Pellegrini likes doing that before. They start
Mhm.
from defense and they build up from there.
And it's
Where
where
Manu was trying to do the opposite, that it's like, no, it's not working, man. You know,
yeah, it's like a bodybuilder who like only works out like
upper
their
body and has the
upper
skinny
body and then
legs.
like have like no legs as
Yeah,
essentially.
yep, it
Yeah.
happens. They skip like days.
Yeah. But anyway, we're gonna wrap up with predictions again because we're always right. Always
Cool.
right. So I'll break down the league table first, so we have kind of an idea of where everyone is. Dead last, Edmonton. 7th, Forge. 6th, Atletico. York United in 5th. Halifax Wanderers in 4th. Cavalry in 3rd. Valor FC from Winnipeg in 2nd. And then up top, Pacific leading by 8 points is with 16 points Pacific. So, but just so you know, just so everyone knows, Valor and Forge have only 5 games played. And then Pacific FC and FC Edmonton have 7.
Also,
And the
they
rest
do
have
have a
6.
game less. Okay, 2
So,
games less.
exactly.
Interesting.
So, first matchup we have of the weekend is Wanderers versus Forge. Now, Wanderers have come off a great 2-2 draw. They've also won their preliminary round in the Canadian Championship, so they're going to be high. Obviously, that sucker punch goal from Dan Klump at the weekend, I don't think it'll dampen their spirits because it's Halifax. They're not too low. They don't really get too high when they win, and they don't get too low when they lose. They're a very stable team. So I'm going to go with a Halifax win over Forge. I think their attack is just going to be a little bit too much. I think Akeem Garcia is going to have a little bit too much fun against a team that doesn't have proper center backs like Forge.
Yeah, uh so you think that Halifax is gonna take?
I think Halifax, and I'm going to write it down so
I
I can
think
remember.
I think Halifax is gonna take again.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, what do you think he's gonna take, Diesel? Sorry, I have my dog joining the live. So
I'm just writing down Forge and Halifax. I'll go F Felipe J for me.
do you agree with Halifax, bro?
Yeah, Halifax is
Yeah,
going to win.
he does.
Okay. Now, another exciting matchup: Pacific versus York. Now,
Your
it's a tough. It's
a tough
definitely a tough
pick.
matchup because
What is the game? The game is in Victoria.
it's at Starlight Stadium, yeah,
Yeah.
in Pacific FC, or sorry, at Pacific FC on the island.
Isn't that in Victoria? Like, isn't
Yeah,
that
or
like?
it's an hour and a half outside of Victoria in Langford.
Oh, okay. So it's in
Very beautiful
Langford.
there.
Yeah. I thought that it was actually near in Victoria, like closer to Victoria.
Yeah, I think they have a shop there, but not quite.
Interesting.
What do you think?
Cool. So
I'll let you go first this time.
I
Well, I
think
write
that
down the
so here's the thing, right? Like, I think that York needs to win this game, but
Yeah,
it's probably the toughest game for them of the season so far. Like, playing
yeah,
Pacific away, they're leading the league 16 points. Um, Got to put it multiple things in consideration, right? Like, I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. Like, I don't know how the logistic works, but did the York play Valor and then flew
Yeah.
back to Ontario to fly back to Victoria in a period of 5 days?
Yes, because they would go back home to train, so they definitely would have because there's no place really to train
Just
there.
if they
That's
stayed
why,
in
like, yeah,
Manitoba, exactly. So logistically speaking, they probably man, I'll take Pacific for this one.
yeah.
Uh,
And
yeah,
Pacific
just
did
'cause-
play at home, so there's no travel for them either.
yeah, and they're not like, and like I said, like, this influence. Canada's a big country, man. Like, you're going from
That's
coast to coast.
Yeah,
Like,
no, that's a good point. I'm
uh,
with actually you make a good point. I'm gonna go PFC as well.
I don't know. Like, see, here's the thing that a lot of people don't analyze that way in football, because a lot of European countries are tiny. A lot of
Hmm.
European countries can fit in the southern of Alberta, or the
Yeah,
size of a province like Manitoba. It's bigger than the whole UK. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So it's like, and the UK plus a few other countries. So
yeah.
a lot of people don't think this way, but Brazilian league, for example, Brazil is a large country. So when you look
Hmm.
at the Brazilian league, I've seen countries have to play north, south, and then go to Argentina for Champions League.
Yeah,
Players are tired, muscle injuries happen. You know what I mean? Because the players are
yeah,
not
yeah,
able
yeah.
to properly rest, so they pull a hamstring or a quad or something like that. So again, just telling that to the people that are watching us, right? It's not us being like soft or whatever. That's
Yeah.
part of football. Like, that rest and that long trips, that does affect not just the mental but the physical, right? And
No, that's a good point.
I was gonna pick a tie because I feel like York was gonna come trying to win, but I'll pick Pacific.
Yeah. No, I'll go Pacific as well. It is a later game, so I don't think it'll be super high energetic. I think it'll be a bit slower, especially for York having to travel And obviously
Yeah.
they'll get there probably the day before at least, I'm guessing, and have the whole day to kind of like get the jet lag out. But Pacific FC, lots of rest, no travel time. It's an easy decision. Okay, next, Cavalry versus Valor on Saturday. Very, oh man, I'm gonna get bored of me picking Cavalry all the time, but I think Valor is gonna put up quite a fight. I definitely think there's goals in this game for sure, so especially with Willie Accio coming back to Calgary, since this is kind of like a lot of his youth was from
Yeah.
Calgary. He obviously played in the Foothills PDL team, so but I'm gonna go.
It's same vice
Um,
versa, right? Like, I mean,
yeah,
Ali Musi used to play for Valor, so now
play
he's
with the
playing
Valor
for
as well.
Cavalry against
But
them.
now, so before
Uh,
it was Joe Mason and Moosey scoring most of the goals. Now Bevan scored 3 in 2 games,
yep.
so he's on fire. So it's almost like who does Tommy pick now?
I'll pick a 2-1 for this game, Cavalry. 2-1 or 3-2.
One
I
Cavalry.
think I also agree with you. I think that will be both teams will score on this game.
Yeah.
Uh, we almost sound like handicappers offering bets here. Pick 2 teams will score on this game. Cavalry will win.
I
Again,
think
guys, don't take our predictions as
yeah.
bets, but
I'm gonna go
uh,
with a 2-2 draw again. I think it'll be a 2-2 draw. I
okay,
think
I'll
both
go for
teams are gonna
2-1.
score, but I think both goalkeepers are gonna cancel a lot of it out as well. I think there's gonna be great saves. I think this is the game of the weekend.
This game is really important for Cavalry on the standpoint that once they're playing home, two, they have a tough game on Tuesday
Yeah.
that they need to be ready for. They're gonna play an
Yeah.
MLS team,
Mm-hmm.
and like as you said, Valor has 2 games lost. Like they have 5 games only, and they're second place with 8 points. So if they
Yes.
win those 2 games, or at least catch tight, like they're gonna
Yeah.
be ahead of Cavalry, they're gonna be ahead of York. So we kind of need to catch back to Valor. So I feel like Tommy and the rest of the people organizing I would say more like the sports mental, like the psychology part of the players, they're gonna motivate them a lot for this game.
Yeah.
So I
No, you're right.
really, not just as a fan, but I feel like Cavalry will have more motivation for this game than Valor. So yeah,
Yeah. Last game, Edmonton versus
Sunday.
Atletico. Now, I'm just gonna just throw a wild guess out there and say Edmonton's gonna take this game just because they
They haven't
haven't
won
won
a
yet, and I
single
feel
game.
like I'd bet them. Mine as well.
Man, poor Atletico keeps playing well and keeps tying, and
Like
now they're
that's
gonna
another
lose
thing.
to Edmonton. Like you're mad. Like you don't like Atletico, bro.
Apparently not.
Are you a Real Madrid fan? Like, and then you just
Oh, I don't care about any of
don't
those
cheer
Spanish
for their
teams.
franchise.
What do you think?
I actually like Real Madrid, and I don't mind Atletico having a team in Canada like that. I feel like
No, it's good exposure.
it would be good. It would be good if more teams could do that. And also Atletico, I remember they did their last 2 off seasons in Spain, and
Yeah.
they are also able to take players from the team B and put it on loan here, which I found quite interesting.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
no, like I don't know, man. I feel like fuck. You know what? I'm not gonna disagree to you this time. So Edmonton. So we need to get some listeners in Edmonton. You know what I mean? Like the Oilers
Yeah.
are gonna be the Flames are gonna be the Oilers right now. They're gonna be more even mad at Calgarians. So I need to somehow make them a bit friendly at happy at us. So I'll agree with you and I'll go for Edmonton.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, Edmonton. There you go, Edmonton fans.
Sorry for
What a
bringing
good
the
one.
NHL in the middle. I know we're in Canada. It's just I had to kind
All
of
good,
bring
all
that up.
good.
Yeah,
I'll be watching the game tomorrow anyway.
cool,
But
fair enough. Yeah,
that pretty much concludes everything that we have to say. Obviously, the Canadian Championship is happening next week, so definitely tune into that because that's gonna be very exciting. Me and Felipe are gonna be at the game on Wednesday. Probably do a little bit of I may do a live video then, depending on how everything goes, especially if it's rainy or not. Who knows? It's snowing where Felipe is right now, so who knows?
it's no knowing where you are, and I'm like 20 minutes away from you, half an hour away
Well, I
from
actually
you.
don't have a window down here, so I actually don't know. I'll check once we're done once we wrap up here.
No, I
But
hope
yeah,
like at least the weather looks like it will be not sunny, but it won't be snowy or rainy or anything like
yeah,
that. So
yeah. But that pretty much concludes everything. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on the post notification, that little ringing bell there, just so you know exactly when this is
here,
posted,
there, or
wherever it
here,
is.
yeah, there. I think it's down. Whatever.
Down below, probably. All right, guys. Love you guys. See you next week.
Cheers. See you, Dory.
Yeah.
Go, bro.